Sunday, the first Sunday of every month, we're going to be joining in with the adults. And Neil was talking to me, he's like, we need to get the kid or the child out of our adults. So how do we do that? So let's get our kids to do a song. So we're going to do a song real quick. Come on, my kids, come on up. These are part of our worship songs that we do in our services when we go over there. So it's going to be on the video. There's a video, and they know movements to these songs. You guys can get some of you over here. All right. Jonathan, Elijah over here. All right. Here we go. Yes, all the kids. Come on up, sister. The child in you. Bring it on up. Right? So, please join us. Our kids, they're probably a little shy right now. It's a little shock to them. They're going to be here, but I know some of them are going to do it right. So, let's go play the song, Marcos. All right, here we go, guys. Let's go. All right, clap it. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. He knows my name. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. He knows my name. Yeah, keep going, man. Keep going. He knows my name. Walking to the fatherland. Ready to send. Walking to the way. He knows my name. I will praise you. I will praise you. I am in the day. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. He knows my name. All right, George. Take the weekend. Show them the Sunday. He knows my name. Father to the fatherland. Ready to the bed. Hope for the hopeless. He knows my name. I will praise you. I will praise you. For I am with the one thing. 1, 2, bring it all down. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on.
Now is our time to worship God, okay? different this morning. We're gonna sing the chorus part. He's able, he's able. Okay? Together. And then we wanna make something different. We're gonna see right now, okay? He's able. 1, 2. He's able. Ha, ha, ha. Everybody together? He's able. Eyes up. Yeah. Ha, ha. He's able. Okay, you wanna sing with the chorus, okay? With the choir. Let's see the tenor. He's able. Huh. We have to do with the tenor. He's able. One more time. Tenor. He's able. Let's do it one more time. Come on, let's do it. He's able. Let's do it together. Everybody together. He's able.
Just that chorus, he's able again, just sing it with them. Just do the he's able part.
He's able. He's able. He's able. I know that he can do it. He said he can do it. He's able.
That God's able.
Yeah.
How many like to be reminded every so often that he's able?
Come on.
Amen. If you have a 5-year-old, 5 or younger, that you want them to go to class, I want you to meet Sister Tony in the back, and you can follow her to where the kids are going to be. And so, Sister Tony, it looks like Karina's going to help, and so we have that for you. So 5 years old and under. But while they're going out, let's just sing that a couple more times. He's able.
He's able.
Just keep singing. Let that hit your spirit this morning. Let it hit your heart this morning that he's able. I know
that he can do it. He said he's able. He's able.
No matter what you're going through this morning, I want you to say that phrase. Put it up there, Mark, for me. I know that he can do it. He said he'd help me through it. Whatever you're going through, speak to whatever it is and say, I know that he can do it. Say it. Say it over your problems this morning. He said he'd help me through it.
I know that he can do it. He said he'd help me through it. I know that he can do it. He said he'd help me through it. I know that he can do it. He said he'd help me through it. I know that he can do it. He said he'd help me through it. I know that he can do it. He said he'd help me through it.
Now, you hear in church all the time, we say to stand on God's word, right? You ever hear that phrase? Well, where do you find that scripture? The Bible says, I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. The Bible says that he will never leave you nor forsake you. The Bible says that he will always give you a verses that you can stand upon just for that one phrase right there. See, so now what I want you to do is see, at some time we've got to stand on God's word and just believe that He's going to do it. And you just got to stand and believe it. We're in a nice sitting position, and you're nice and comfortable this morning. But you know what? You've been uncomfortable all week long with your problem. Hello? So, let's get out of the comfort of sitting in church. And if you truly believe God's going to help you through it, why don't you stand on God's word this morning and declare it this morning? And don't worry about being comfortable. You've been uncomfortable all week. Now sing it out and declare it like you believe it. And say, God, I know you're going to do it. You're helping me through it because you're able. Declare it this morning. Sing it, team. He's able. Now, you do know Linnell was making y'all a choir by doing all this little dippity-dippity. You do know that. It was fun. Really. Oh, Lord, God is good. He is able. You've got to know He's able. He is able. How many of you been getting my text messages all week long or all the last week or seen my Facebook posts and you've seen this hashtag, 52 days? How many have seen that? How many are wondering what Pastor's talking about? Huh? Y'all wondering? Good. I'm going to keep you wondering. There's purpose behind that. This whole month of March, we are talking about 52 days. And this is what question I want you to ask yourself all month long. What can God do through me to rebuild walls in 52 days? Think about that. Do you know, all month long, all year long, for 7 years now, since we've gotten into this whole education part and reaching into our city through education with Higher Ground and being a part of that. And honestly, you've been around the Well Worship Center and this church for 20 years, you will know that we've been actively involved in education for 20 years. We've done Christian schools. We've done a charter school. We've done a little private school here. We're doing higher ground that gets into school after school. And see, for 20 years, this church has always been actively involved somehow, some way when it comes to education. And for 20 years, we've been hearing the same thing, that there's a mess in our education. Hello? But do you know that your church, and that includes you, if you're doing it or not, you're still a part of it, that your church is actively involved in trying to rebuild the walls in this area for our city. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this part of our city stronger. We're rebuilding walls. They've been torn down. They've been messed for a lot of different reasons. We've been actively involved. And see, and when you hear the word, what can you do? Or the question, what can God do through you in 52 days to rebuild walls? Do you know that so many things come your way that can be your opportunity to rebuild a wall, and we overlook it? We overlook it. Let me ask you a question today. How many of you have people that come to you and tell you their problems? That's a good percentage of us. Now, how many of you give them your advice? I'm not going to say it's good or bad advice, but we give them your advice. Okay? How many of you prayed for them? Okay? How many of you spend a whole lot of time with them trying to help them through? Because you know what we're good at? We're good at hearing a problem. We're good about giving one day's advice. We're good about praying about it for a little while and then forgetting about it. And we never see the fullness of that broken wall rebuilt. Think about it. We do that. I have people come to my office a lot. And you'll find that if you come to our office and talk to Pastor Cheryl and I, you'll find that there's a good chance that we'll continue having you come back and talk to us. Because to help people rebuild walls does not take a moment or two prayers. It takes work. It takes time. It takes continuing to be prayerful and allowing God to use you. It takes you putting a lot of effort into it. And see, what's gone on in our city, what goes on in our society, what's happened in our time today is yeah, we as a church are great at giving advice. We as a church are great at praying for people, but we're not great at continuing the work until the wall's rebuilt. Oh, let's be real. How many of you would love it if somebody would just give you their time until your problem was taken care of? Oh, I would. I'll give y'all some of my problems. Y'all want some of my problems? I'll give you some of my problems. Y'all can have some of my problems. It would be an awesome feeling to have somebody walk side by side with you until that broken wall of your life is rebuilt. But here is what happens, is we never find the cause. See, I live every day with a cause right now. Every day I do ministry and I do what I do for a cause. And sometimes that cause doesn't give me a day off. Sometimes that cause, as I've done it in the last 2 weeks, will cause you to work while you're sick. Sometimes that cause will cause you to meet with people you never imagined you would meet with. Sometimes that cause causes you to be a part of something that you may not feel so comfortable in, but at the end of the day, you see great results in the end. When the cause is bigger than you, and you know that God is leading you in that cause can do so much in you, through you, and with you, that at the end of the week, like I did last night, you wonder, how did I make it through all that? How did I do it? See, we've got a cause here at the well. We've got a true cause here at the well. And the cause is to walk with any person that is willing to grow in Jesus. We've got a cause. See, our cause is to walk with any person willing to live a life with Jesus. We'll walk with you. We'll help you. We'll be there for you. We'll meet with you. We'll pray with you. We'll fellowship together. We'll worship together. We'll go into the Word together. We will do whatever we have to walk with people that want to grow in Jesus. You hear me say this phrase a lot. As long as you're willing to work with us, we'll work with you. See, that's our cause. See, it's not just... See, you got to understand, what we do in the school system is because there's a bunch of people out there that want to see our school system change. So guess what? They want to work at it. We'll work at it with them. Do you know that there's over 60 churches? I can confidently say there's about 60 churches in the city that are doing just as much work in schools that the Well and Higher Ground is doing. And you know what's shameful about that? I just found out 3 weeks ago how many there were. I didn't know there were 60 churches that were actively involved in their local school. It's more than just, see, the Well isn't just doing it. The Well and Higher Ground isn't just leading it. God has caused a cause to happen in this city. And the cause is get churches connected with schools so that we can reach our city. And you know, it's funny because I showed up to this pastor's breakfast a couple weeks ago and had the awesome privilege to talk to a bunch of pastors, and they were honoring a bunch of churches that are actively doing stuff in school. So you know, I'm going to be real with you. I'm very confident and I'm very thankful for the open door that we have as a church through the Well and Higher Ground to get into schools. But I was humbled that day. I was humbled when this church came up, and 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 we have to spend 20 to 25 minutes giving out certificates to all these churches that are actively doing wonderful things in their school. I was humbled because, you know, I was humbled because I was like, you know what, God, it ain't just us. Hello? It's not just us. And you know what that even did more to me? It's like, man, I want to get more churches actively involved. See, your pastor lives with a cause. I'm meeting with churches as often as I can to get churches actively involved in their local school. God's opened up the door for your pastor to go to the U of A campus in the next week and a half. And I get to go talk to 200 or 400 students in the Mexican-American Studies area. And I get to get an open door with them to get them to help schools out with volunteering and tutoring. That's going to get pastor into schools. I'm going to get to meet all these schools and say, hey, I got a bunch of college students that need to give hours and volunteer. Can they come to your school and tutor? Sure. But you know what that pastor's going to do? Would you mind if I get your local church that's in your community to partner with you too? And then open up a door for them to volunteer at your school too. They'll come in to serve you. That's my cause. So, if you look at my schedule, I have a wonderful schedule. I love my schedule. It's an amazing schedule. I do. I love it. I get to meet with my leaders. I meet with all my leaders throughout the weeks. I get to meet with you all if you need my time. We make sure to give you time. Trust me, no matter how busy Pastor gets, he will always have an open door and open time for you. Just get hold of Jackie. She'll make sure it happens. She's been great. So I meet with our leaders to keep us moving forward and developing. I meet with church people to make sure that you know you have a pastor at all times. And your pastors are here for you. But then, you know what I do the rest of the time? I meet with churches. I'm meeting with schools. I'm meeting with people to get schools and churches connected so that we can see our city change. See, I live with a cause. But it's funny. If you would have asked me a year ago, this wasn't my cause. I didn't talk like this a year ago. I didn't think like this a year ago. See, people began to talk to me about the need for churches and schools. It just happened to come my way. But I heard it enough to realize that God was putting a cause in my heart by sending people to talk to me about it. Do you know God does that with all of us? Think about it. Think about the problems you hear about the most. Do you know that God can be using people to talk to you about a certain problem on a regular basis because He wants that to be your cause? Go with me to Nehemiah 1. See, it's funny, but you find this scripturally. It's funny, we're all looking for our purpose in life when God is revealing it to you on a regular basis. Nehemiah chapter 1, we're going to read through it. Because I love y'all. I'm going to go over here so you can read about this. Y'all can look over my head while I read it up here. Nehemiah 1. The words of Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah. In the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, while I was in the citadel of Susa, Hanani, one of my brothers, came from Judah with some other men. And I questioned them about the Jewish remnant that survived the exile and also about Jerusalem. Sometimes you just have to ask the right questions to get a cause. See, Nehemiah was asking the right question. What was the question? How are the people and how's the city? What if you went around and started asking people, how are the people and how's the city? What might you just hear? Oh, you're going to hear poverty is running rampant in our city. I heard yesterday that there's high school students in the city that live in a still shack behind somebody's home. They're considered homeless in our school district. And the principal, because a student was not showing up to school for a few days, got the information out and went out looking for this one student. Found the address, knocked on the door. The people answered the door saying, yeah, her and her mom lives here, but they don't live in this house. Let me show you. And the young girl was sitting in the still shack behind a home with mattresses on the floor and clothes hung outside. And that's where she lives. See, it's hard to hear stuff like that. To know that it's happening in our own city. But I found myself sitting there yesterday, and what do you think that did to my cause? Oh, it burns it even more. See, we're expecting a school system to change our kids. But our kids are dealing with so much at home that in reality, it's not our school system failing them. It's poverty, it's our families, and it's our society that's failing each other. We have so many kids who go to school hurt. And let's be real. We know what it's like to show up to church not in the mood to worship. And we can sit there like this. Because we don't want to worship, because we don't feel good to. And there's kids in our city that go to school carrying burdens that they should never carry. And we're wondering, and we're expecting them to learn. We're expecting teachers to teach them. And in reality, they don't want to. What would happen in 52 days if a church would rise up and totally connect with the school and love on every kid of that school the best way we can? See, Nehemiah asked the question, what's going on with the people? What's happening in the city? And listen to what he hears. For the next verse, please. They said to me, those who survived the exile and are back in the province are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. See, you have to understand what's so important about this statement. See, we already know in our city that there are people that are in exile. There are people that are going through great trouble. We know that there are people that are going through disgrace. We already know that in our society there's a whole lot of people going through problems. But the next part is what's most important. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down and the gates have been burned. Do you know what that is saying about the people of Jerusalem? They have nobody or nothing to protect them. See, in those days, the cities will build walls and would put gates there because so their people can feel protected. So that if anybody would come and try to destroy them, they would have to go through these thick walls, and they would have to get through these small gates. How many people do you know that aren't just in disgrace and going through great trouble, but they don't feel protected? Their city's not protecting them. Their churches aren't protecting them. Society isn't protecting them. The school system's not protecting them. Oh, we've got people that don't even believe that the police officers would protect them. Nehemiah heard this. You know what God was doing? He was giving him a cause. God was giving Nehemiah something to live for. He was giving him purpose. See, we sit around saying, oh, I don't know my purpose in my life. Oh, just look around. Oh, I don't have purpose in life. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. Just listen to what people are saying. Listen to what they're telling you. See, it's interesting because you got to understand that Hanani, the guy who came to tell Nehemiah all this stuff, walked from Jerusalem and that area, walked all the way to where Nehemiah was. And how many believe that he was probably talking about what was going on back at home? And imagine how many people Hanani told what was going on in Jerusalem and going on with the people of the remnant, and how many people just heard it and kept on walking. And did nothing about it. Oh, you know what they probably did? Like we all do. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'll pray for you. And keep on going. Oh, you know what you need to do? If you just call this number, and they'll go there and they'll be able to help you. Here you go. That's what we do. And hear me. Let's not be the people that says, oh, I have to deal with my own problems first. I loved the movie yesterday. I love any movie about Jesus because it shows one thing. It shows a life of selflessness. His life was not his own. He came to serve. He served whoever was willing to be served. Everywhere Jesus went, he had a crowd. Everywhere he walked, every city he came through, a crowd would gather around him. And he would either serve them by teaching them and giving them tools to live and principles to live by, or he would feed them as he fed the 5,000, or he would perform the miraculous miracles and life-changing events would happen in people's life. Or he would have them walk with him and watch his every move, and he would develop them. While all along, the high priests were trying to destroy him. While all along, the Roman Empire was growing and hearing about him and trying to stop him. See, we can say today, oh, I've got my own problems to deal with. Trust me, I have my own problems to deal with too. But when there's a cause you live for, you find God works your problems out while you're helping other problems. You find God works greater miracles in your life and in your situation because you're taking the time and you're willing to help the next person or help somebody else. Look at what this caused Nehemiah to do. It says, when I heard these things, I sat down and I wept. You know what's wrong with the church today? We don't weep enough. You know what's wrong with us? It doesn't hurt us anymore. It doesn't affect us anymore. We're not taking to the core as much anymore. We sit in church a lot and we say, oh, I've heard it all. It's all the same. Just a different person, just a different time frame. But the church doesn't weep anymore. When was the last time you saw your own church, the worship center, weep because of a cause? When was the last time we were gripped in our hearts because we truly felt the heart of God and we felt His pain for the heart of others? I truly believe callousness has become a tool of Satan. I truly believe that the understanding and that the callousness, that means our heart doesn't feel anything. See, my hands aren't like a lot of men's hands because I don't have calluses on my hands because manual labor doesn't do it for my hands, you know? So when I rake for 5 minutes, guess what happens? I start to get blisters and I start to feel the pain. But you can get people who's got so many calluses on their hands that they can work for hours and they can get blisters galore, and guess what? It takes a long time to feel the pain. It takes a long time to feel the hurt. It takes a long time for the skin to get broken open and for the pus to start flowing. And there's some people that will wear gloves and work all day long and not even see the hands begin to break open, not even feel it until they've taken off the gloves and they see it. Because their hands are so callous, because their hands are so hard, and it's been so hard to feel that kind of pain. See, I think that Satan has used callousness to stop the church from feeling the heart of God.
Yes, come on, brother.
Oh, my prayer for the last 3 weeks is, God, cause the well to weep. Give us a cause that causes us to weep. That causes us to cry out to you. When I heard these things, I sat down and I wept. It says, for some days I mourned and I fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. See, we're going to go through the whole month talking about Nehemiah and different things he did. But we all understand one thing about Nehemiah. It took 52 days to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, which is a miracle in itself. But can I tell you something? He prayed for 4 months before he started building. He wept before God. He got the heart of God. He got the plans from God. He got the provision from God in 4 months. And because he got the heart of God and he wept before God, and God gave him provision. God gave him plans. God gave him purpose. Because for 4 months he wept before God over a city. And you got to understand something. It was not his own city. Jerusalem was not where he came from. They weren't even his people. And he wept for 4 months. And he cried out to God for 4 months. Then the miracle of 52 days happened. And he got a cause. He got a cause that caused him to weep. He got a cause that caused him to pray. That kept him seeking the Lord. He got a cause. See, church, we're part of a big cause here. Getting into schools is a big cause. Helping the education part of this city is a big cause. Walking with people who are willing to give their life to Jesus and to live for Jesus is a big cause. We've got a cause. But I don't think we've heard it enough. I don't think we're seeing it enough. Or maybe sometimes we're too callous about it. That we haven't wept enough for it. I don't want to wait till a bad situation happens at one of our public schools to cause us to act.
Yes.
I don't want something bad in this city to happen for the church to rise up and to go act and try to help after the fact. When God's given us a cause. See, it's important to me, church, as your pastor. It's important to me that churches get involved with their local schools, but if the well's not actively involved in the school, then my talk is only halfway.
Yes.
Higher Ground, we get 10 to 12 schools represented at Higher Ground every day. Guess what? We're helping the schools. See, if you can find time, an hour a week, I can find you something to do that will help the school. Just give me an hour a week, that's all I ask. Do you want to be crazy? Like, I'm very thankful for your husband. I love your husband. Every day I get to see him 4 days a week. And you know what all he does? He referees basketball games for an hour a day. He works all night, comes home, jumps in bed, tries to sleep, then I'm sure poor Miss Amber has to go wake him up around 11:30. And sometimes he's grumpy. But she still wakes him up. And he goes to Hollinger with me. And we show up at 12:15. We don't start games till 12:15, 12:30. We don't start games till 12:45. But you know what we're doing? We're hanging out with the kids and just talking to them. Then we watch them play their game. They play their 10 to 15 minute game. They find out who wins. We make sure they don't cuss. Because you don't cuss on Pastor's basketball court. Because that court is Pastor's. I'm going to go put a sign there that says Pastor Eli's basketball court. Rules on Pastor Eli's court. Don't cuss. That's my number one rule. Because you don't need to cuss while you're playing basketball. Just play basketball. Keep your mouth shut. Just play the game. Encourage each other. That's what I tell them. Just encourage each other. Don't need to cuss. Don't need those words. They play their game. We make sure they shake each other's hands to show good sportsmanship. And then you know Daniel and I and now Pastor Aki. You want to know who Pastor Aki is? Pastor Aki is the pastor of the Japanese Community Church here in Tucson. He joins us now every day. And after the games are done, do you know what we do? We help Steve and Tony, who are the monitors, we help Steve and Tony corral all the students back to their classes. Oh, come on, guys, let's go to class. Come on, let's get there. And they want to mess around. And there's one particular boy who's always wearing those crazy hats. Always, those crazy hats that come along the side and they have the tank, the